So as the invitation implies, we are working on a new release of Skribenta Web, which will contain some useful features, we think. So what you will see here is a kind of a sneak peek of an upcoming release, which will be available sometimes after the summer. And has to do with the way you interact with files and also about the embedded user assistant. So there's a couple of improvements that I would like to show to you. So I will show you the updated user interface, get a tour around what it looks like, and also talk about something we call frames. So there's a couple of new frames which allows you to interact with files and tools in a new way. And there's also an improved search function. So I will show you some highlights of what you can do to search and filter content in Skribenta. And at the end, we have time for questions and answers. Okay, great. So I'm actually going to head over to Skribenta right away. So let me switch to Skribenta. So here you see the updated user interface. There's a new skin, as you can see here, with colors and fonts. And there's a couple of new icons also for you who are familiar and working in Skribenta Web. But as you know, in Skribenta, you work with expanding and compressing files and content. So that's the hallmark of Excosoft. So as you can see here, I'm showing Skribenta Web, and I'm in the workspace. And you can, of course, you can open up the folder structure. You can open up files, and then you can zoom yourself, narrow yourself down to specific paragraphs and lists like this. And in Skribenta Web, you expand the file content by clicking on it like this, which is, of course, a difference to Skribenta client. So the editor is kind of built in Skribenta Web. And you navigate between the publications and the workspace by clicking on the aspect icons like this. So this way of expanding files and content allows you to have multiple files open at the same time. You can search and replace in multiple files. So that's of course, a number of advantages, and kind of also relates to the way that our brain functions, that we start from an overall position and then we zoom ourselves down into more and more details, and we can zoom in and out as such. But we have learned now over the years with Skribenta Web that this way of navigating and opening files might be, for the beginner user who is familiar with conventions in Windows applications and Office environments, that it could be at times a little bit of a threshold to learn this way of expanding, because it's kind of unique in one sense. So what we are offering is a way to open up files that could follow more of a kind of a Windows convention. And that is the way of using frames. So as you can see here to the right, I have a number of icons which allows me to open and close different frames. And that's what we're going to explore. So as you can see here now, I have the aspect frame, and that's the frame here to the left. And then I have the navigator frame, and that is the what we see here, the folder structure in the workspace and the publication group and publication structure in the publication aspect, and the translation projects in the translation aspect. But what I can do here is I can open a content frame if I click on the content icon. And that allows me to have kind of a split view. I have frame where I can open up my files, basically. So when I have the content frame opened and I click on a file, the file will open in the content frame and it opens up in a tab. So as you click on new and more files, these files will open up in different tabs, which allows you to switch between the different files by clicking on the tabs, like a web browser tab, basically. So this is, in some sense, following more of a convention in a Windows environment. So for instance, for beginner users who start to learn Skribenta, they could feel more familiar. If you look compared to the mail client, for example, or the Explorer in Windows, you have a kind of a navigation frame to the left, and if you click on an item, it opens up in a frame to the right. So it follows that kind of metaphor to do. And also for you who are working with many files open at the same time, this content frame, we hope, could be useful in that sense. And of course, when working in the content frame, you can expand, compress the actual content in the file exactly as before. So there's no difference. The only difference is that you open it up in a new frame. And you can have view which file this is. You can also expand included files. So if I have, for instance, in my demo environment, I have some included files here. So you can see that the breadcrumb is still available, which shows you where the file is located in the workspace. So you see, as I click in the included file, I am in this particular file. And as I click outside, I am in the master file. So I can make this included file also in a tab, separate tab, if I want to maximize and view it separately. So I can simply click on the file, the breadcrumb, and I get this additional included file available here. Okay, so the content frame here, what we would believe is the main setup is that you have the workspace, publication structure, and you can interact with files by opening them up in the content frame. That would be the usual case for, I guess, for most users on a daily basis. Now, these approaches with tabs and frames allows for support for users who have specific needs. For instance, to compare two files visually side by side, or to compare two folder structures side by side, or publication group structures. So you can actually load any kind of content within these tabs for you who have this specific need of viewing or comparing structures. So you can right click and you can do different operations to move one tab to another frame, etc. But that would be for specific cases where you have specific need to do that, of course. Okay, good. So this is the content frame, which again can be enabled. So you can open it up and you can show it. So you can work as before if you want. This is a new possibility. Furthermore, as you know, when you work in a file, this is the XML content. You have the XML structure with different nodes and parents, etc. And you do different operations on different levels. You hide, you transform, you add attributes, etc. So to be able to access these functions, there is a frame also called tools. So this tools frame allows you to access these functions, to have them available, instead of having to right click and actually open up the toolbar. So if I click on the tools frame, I open up the frame to the right. So now I have all the 4 frames enabled. And if I go to the tools tab, this tools frame has 3 tabs. So this allows me to view the different nodes in my current file that I'm standing in. So as you can see here, I am opening up and I'm standing here in a paragraph. So we can see that I'm standing in a text node, which is part of a paragraph, which is part of a section. This preparing section is part of a parent section called verifying the installation, which is part of the master file. So as I move my cursor around when I do edit, you see that the structure updates to reflect my current cursor position. And also, furthermore, when you want to do an operation on a specific element, you can open up and you then have access to all the different tools, which you would also see in the embedded toolbar. Something that is available here, as you see, is that as I expand the specific node, it is also highlighted in my file content. So as you can see here, it has a background color. So now I'm actually doing an operation on this complete section called with the title preparing. And now I'm doing an operation on the paragraph within that section. So this allows me to visually see what kind of element am I interacting with and doing something. So if you would like to, you could cut it out or paste it in like that. So this allows you to have easy access to the different functions to be able to, well, on a normal basis, you do different operations. Could be also that you can edit your attributes, or you can transform and hide and do these kind of things. So we do think that this would be kind of interesting and make your work more efficient in that sense, and also to be able to have immediate access to the parent structure of the different tools. And you can actually do operation on any level. Of course, you can do something on the parent section by opening it up and then do your operation. Okay, great. So as you see in the tools frame, we have not only then the different tools available, but also there's properties. So as I'm clicking and opening files and opening parts of my file, I can also view the properties on the exact node that I'm interacting with. So for instance, if you have the attributes on this include, you can see the href and a label. You can see the attribute values. So this is class information, this was class front warning. So you have always access to the properties for a specific file or the specific node that you're interacting with in the content as such. Which is, of course, something that I find at least very useful to be able to navigate and locate a specific file that I'm interested in, as such. Okay, and finally in this tools frame, we have the help tab. So we are currently also working on releasing the user assistant portal for Skribenta Web. And this will also be available after the summer. So, and this portal is driven and built by a product that we call Skribenta Sites. So Skribenta Sites is a new product which allows you to build a content delivery portal. So Skribenta Sites is a content delivery platform. So you can publish all of your publications into a single point of entry. And now when you go to the help tab, you can do search and you can find different topics relating to what you are looking for. And you have what you would expect to collapsible sections and the different instructions, etc. But this user assistance is contextual. It's embedded and contextual. So depending on where your cursor position is located in Skribenta Web, you can press F1, function key number 1, to then access the help file for that particular element that you're standing on. So in this case, I'm located in a paragraph and I clicked F1. So we open up the help file, which contains the instructions for the different operations that you can do. So there's first conceptual content about the actual element. And then what you can do, so you can, for instance, set and modify attributes. So you have a link to the actual instructions. So then you can find help directly within this tools frame. And you can, of course, you can get back and then you can do a search for whatever kind of content you're looking for, like that. And also faceted search is available. And this will also be available online, so you can navigate to the Skribenta User Assistant portal online. And it's also, the same content is also embedded. And it will always be relevant to your Skribenta version, of course, as such. Okay, so there's a lot of new things that is upcoming. And I say now we are currently testing this integration and correcting some bugs that we might find, so that you get a perfect product once you're back from the vacation. As a final thing I would like to show you is also the improved search function. So we could actually, in this case, I could close the tools frame. And if we go to search, so there's a number of new possibilities to interact and to search for files in your Skribenta environment. So I'd like to show you some new possibilities. Of course, to search for a specific word, you will find all the different files that would contain this particular word. And you can also then select to search for all files containing both installation and manual, and further refine your search. So all the files that contains these 3 different words. This is kind of an AND operation. The thing is that when you click on the search result, it opens up in the content frame. So this would again mimic the behavior of, for instance, typical mail client. We have your mails in the frame to the left. Then when you click on a mail, you open up to read it on the right. So it's again lining to familiarity in that sense. What you also can do in the search is to search for specific sequences. So let's say that I would like to find all files that contains the words installation and manual in this actual particular sequence. Now when I'm searching, I find all files that contains installation and manual. But if I click on sequence, I'm narrowing down to all the different files that contains this particular sequence of files. So that, of course, allows you to do a more refined search in that sense. The approximate search allows you to search for all the files that contains this word with a 2-character distance. So if I type manua, you find everything that contains either manual, manuals, or some other construct of manu plus 2 words. You can use approximate to kind of like using a wildcard to narrow down and find files that has different words that is similar to manu. And also if you would do a spelling error thing, so that you can find approximate files with a 2-character distance from the actual word that you type. like that. So this is kind of, I find it kind of fun to search, and then you can find and open up files. And it's rather quick now, the improved search function, to find all the file depending on your search expression. So let's say that you would get a lot of hits. You want to refine the search. Now you can open up the advanced panel, and you can add your specific refinement to narrow down the scope of what you're looking for. Let's say that you would like to find all files with a source language of English. Perhaps you would like to see all files, in this case, that is saved by yourself, to see your saved files, or the file extension, if it's an image file, XML file, or the logical name, and the creational date or file name. So there's different possibilities of refining your search to find what you're looking for. So in this sense, Skribenta becomes more dynamic, and you can use the search more, to rely on search to find things as an alternative to browse in the workspace as such. There's one particular thing I would like to mention that is also, we hope, could support you in finding, and is powerful, and that is to search by metadata. So you can add tags on your files and images, which is metadata, and then you can search and find those files. So if I head over to the workspace, and let's say I select a file, I have a tags icon available here that allows me to add metadata on my file. So open up the tags panel, and you can predefine selectable metadata. Of course, all of you have different product models, product lines, different information types, manual types, etc. So you can then create this predefined list of metadata to select from, or you can add your own sort of taxonomy or your own tag, and then say apply. And of course, this metadata is not something that is visible in the content of the file. It's a metadata on the file. So you can create your metadata schemes that is, of course, correspond and mirrors your company products and your information architecture. And then when you search, you can then use the property name and value field to locate. I want to find all the files that has the tag product A, for instance. And here we can see that I also have images. I can open up logos and the actual content, and I think there's a recipe here. So everything that is combined and part and makes up the content for product A. And I can further also make a more refined search to find all files having both the tag product A and instruction, like that. So this makes also that you could actually work more with the search function and find your content from searching from the metadata and refined and word search. And it's kind of quick, so we hope that you will enjoy it.